Howdy. I'd like to take a break from my usual videos to go over some of the gear I use. I had started out as a landscape photographer, and that's primarily what I was doing when I went out into all these different areas. And it's only recently that I added the video component so that I could do these YouTube videos. So I'm probably a little heavy on the landscape gear and a little light on the video gear, but that's just where things are at the moment. So let's start out with the landscape photography, and we'll go from there. My primary piece of gear for landscape photography is the Nikon D810. I've had this for quite a while now, and it's a pretty good camera. Advantages of full-frame cameras are you get more dynamic range, and you can push the image a lot further in your developing software like Lightroom or Photoshop. By that I mean that you can just expand on the image so it has more depth, more so than, like, say, your Micro Four Thirds or your crop sensor cameras or your phones. It just gives you more to work with when you're doing the editing. My second body is a Nikon D750. I opted to have two bodies so I don't have to switch lenses if I'm out in an area where the wind's really blowing and it's real dusty. You don't want to be taking the lens off your camera. So that's where the D750 comes in. To be honest, I don't use it as much as I should. It might be a little bit better at night than the D810, but it's probably not quite as sharp. But it's a really good camera. Both these Nikon bodies have been updated with newer versions. The D810 has been upgraded to a D850, and the D750 is now available as a D780. But still, these older versions, you buy them used, refurbished, you're going to get quite a bit of bang for your buck. And that's a lot of camera. My most used lens is a Nikon 70-200mm. I realize most people use a wide-angle lens for landscape. I prefer a longer lens. I like the way that it frames my shots, and I like the way that it compacts the image. That's just a personal preference. So yeah, most of the shots you see as far as landscape is probably this 70-200mm. A more typical landscape lens is going to be this 16-35. These are very cost-effective and very popular. It's just almost anybody's going to have a version of this lens in their bag, so get one of these. And generally, a landscape kit is going to be 3 lenses. So to round it out, my third lens, I picked a Rokinon 24mm. I use this for night. It does well with stars, and I don't use it near as much as I should because it's a kick-ass lens, and it just deserves to be used more. I'm going to start paying more attention to you. That's it for my bodies and my lenses. We'll get into some of the peripheral stuff. First up, I guess, would be filters. For those really cool cloud shots and smoothing out the water, you need a set of good ND filters, neutral density filters. I use the Hi-Tech Firecrest. I have a 3.0, a 2.1, and a 1.5. Anyways, they're screw ends. I know some people prefer to have the little cage with the slip ends, but I like these because they're convenient. For me, if something's convenient, I'm going to use it more. Maybe it's not as high as quality as you could get, but sometimes the convenience trumps quality. Next up would be my shutter release cable. You don't want to be touching your camera if you're going for the big landscape shot. It's just going to move things around. The camera's moving around enough as it is. So yeah, I always use live view so the curtain's not messing with anything, and the mirror. And I use this shutter release cable, so I'm not touching the camera. The other thing I use is a wireless shutter release, and I don't even know what this one's called. Actually, it does have a name on it. This is made by Nikon. But anyways, this thing's kind of cool. It allows you to be pretty far from your camera to activate shots. I use this a lot for light painting, because a lot of times when you're light painting, you're actually in this frame, but you know, you can't see it because it's dark. But you're moving around and you're moving your flashlight over stuff, and you have to be able to activate the shutter. So that's what I use that for. I use that also for my long distance selfies, which are kind of fun. You know, you can put yourself in the frame, and geez, you might be, you know, 50 yards away from the camera. That's kind of cool. The other thing I use is for light painting, and this one's fairly popular. This is the P7 LED flashlight. It's got 4 different colors, and it's convenient to use if you need to light something up at night and you want to color it. My main flashlight for light painting is this Waypoint Streamlight. It's 1,000 lumens, and you can take off this headpiece here, lens, I guess it is, and I cut a piece of red gel. So I can put the red gel inside the lens, and then I put this on here, and you can light paint stuff that's pretty far away. This is also handy for when you're boondocking and you're out in the middle of no place and you hear that strange sound at 4 in the morning. This thing will really light up the woods. So it's a good dual purpose piece of equipment. I like to have this handy all the time. That's pretty much it for all of my stills photography equipment. For my video gear, I'd say probably the thing I use the most is my little GoPro. What can you say about these? These are pretty common. This is the Hero 9. Pros and cons. Pros, it's always ready to go. As long as it's charged and got a memory card, all you got to do is hit the button. It's got this great sequence of beeps, so you always know what's going on with it. You know when it's done recording, you know when it started recording, you know when it's shut itself off. So very handy, quick to use, and the downside, not much dynamic range. The color profile's not that great, and it's got a small sensor. But you know, sometimes the convenience is better than outweighs the quality. So there you go. My newest piece of gear is also my favorite piece of gear, and that is the new Mavic 2 Pro. This thing takes decent still photos and takes pretty good video footage. It's easy to fly, and it's durable. I've already ran it into a tree. I've flown it into the ocean. I've flown it through rain. Incredible. I thought for sure I would have lost it by now. I opted to get the controller, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to use your phone to fly this thing. You have your own dedicated controller. And these are like little antennas. It's got the little sticks there to move it around. Really durable piece of kit. I recommend this. All of this gear, at some point in time, I'll probably do an in-depth review of just that piece of equipment. I just wanted to take a few minutes and just go over all of my kits so you can kind of see all the stuff I'm using. And I'm gonna head down to Sedona, and I'll get back to making some regular videos. But just want to take some time and drag all this stuff out and show you kind of what I'm using. And I just realized I forgot one last thing, pretty important for your landscape photography. Is a good tripod and ball head. I'm using the Enduro. This is aluminum. It's pretty heavy, but this has been replaced with a carbon fiber. And anyways, Enduro makes pretty good stuff. I'm also using their ball head. This is a BHL2. And this has been upgraded with a newer version. I forget the name of it. But for the money, I think it's really good gear. I'm going to put a link to my website underneath this video, and I'm going to put links to all this equipment on my website. So if there's anything here you're interested in, you can go out to Amazon and check it out. If you want to buy anything, that's pretty much it. I know this is a little different than my usual video, but hopefully this was educational, and if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to leave those in the comments. And like I said, next video we'll get back to doing our usual routine. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.